You guys, people on TikTok, I swear to God, y'all. So, what I'll never understand is why there's still people who comment and say stuff about other people's recovery journey. I just got a comment from this kid talking about how I'm reckless because I support people who need to take medication in recovery. Hey, Lori, um, hold on. Like, I used to be I used to be a reckless person who only supported abstinence-based recovery. That to me is reckless, okay? Um, Telling a whole group of people that their recovery is not valid because of medications that they're taking, that's reckless to me. Do you know what I'm saying? I used to be like that, and I used to be really closed-minded, and I used to cast my judgment onto other people because I didn't understand, because I had only been taught one way, okay? And when you're only taught one way to recover, I don't blame you. I don't blame you because I used to be just like you. I used to be extremely closed-minded. I used to think it was my way or the highway because everyone else was doing my way or the highway, right? The AA way, the God way, whatever way you want to call it. Hey, Travis. And I understand what it's like, you guys, to think that your way is the right way, because I was the same way. I just want you to understand that. Like, I used to be just like you. I used to tell people that they had to go to meetings or they were going to die, and I felt that. I meant it with all my heart, and I was so afraid for my friends. I thought they were going to die if they didn't go to AA. Okay? Like, I really, really believed that in my heart, because that was what I was taught. I'm so grateful, man, that I was humbled in my experience, because if I wasn't humbled in my experience, I would still be preaching this one hallway way of recovery to people. And when you try to teach people just this one little street that you can drive down is the only street that you can take when you're trying to recover, just this street right here, there's no side streets, there's not a sidewalk you can walk on, none of that stuff. You just got to stay on this straight line right here. Dude, damn, that's fucking hard to do for a lot of people, so opening it up to where there's a sidewalk, and there's a street that goes to the left, a street that goes to the right, a street that goes forward, so that way there's all different ways to recover. Man, I'm telling you what, it's so much better than anything else, and I'm so grateful that I was placed in the position to where I had to experience it for myself, because there was a time where I would have told you, if you weren't doing the 12 steps, you weren't sober. And I can't believe that I used to be that person. I feel bad. I feel extreme amounts of guilt and shame that I was that person, because I never, ever, ever want to make anyone feel less than in their recovery journey. Because I know how sensitive I was when I first got sober, and I was so easily influenced by other people. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so I just saw this video by this guy. Hey, what's up, Dakota? He was talking about trauma, right? And how, not all people use because of trauma. But you know what I was thinking? I was thinking a lot of people don't even realize that they are having a traumatic experience, all right? So it took me like 7.5 years of being sober to realize that a lot of the shit that I experienced as a young girl growing up was fucking traumatic. Having your dad pop his belt at you and chase you around the house to whip you with his belt, that's fucking traumatic, okay? Fucking staying up at night watching fucking America's Most Wanted and these like really fucking crime shows when you're like 3 or 4 years old, that's scary shit. You know what I mean? And so I grew up and I was like afraid of everything, dude. Afraid of everything. Hey, what's up? I was afraid of everything. I always thought that our house was going to get broke into. I always thought that, somebody was coming after me, and it was because of trauma and because of being able to watch things that I should have never been allowed to watch as a young 4-year-old kid, and Do I think my parents were like, yay, let's set our daughter up with all these traumas? No, I think my mom and dad were 18 years old. I think that they didn't know how to be parents, and I was their first kid. And so a lot of shit got experimented on me, you know? But a lot of us experience that kind of stuff, and y'all are like me. We don't even know. Like, I thought everybody got spanked with the belt. You know what I mean? I thought everybody's dad took the belt and did this thing where they pop it, you know? And back in my day, in the 80s, a lot of kids did get spanked with the belt. And you see that a lot of us are fucking drug addicts now. Which, that's why I don't spank my son like that. I don't spank my son, period. I don't put my hands on my son in a bad way, right? I don't want to harm my son. I don't want to make him feel like if he did something wrong, I'm going to beat him for it. You know what I'm saying? I want him to be able to come to me and say, hey, Mom, I fucked up, and I need to talk to you about it. And then we can sit down and we can talk about it, you know? But anyway, I just feel like I've come such a long way in my recovery from where I was like 8 years ago. I was fucking telling people they needed to, you know, go to meetings and have a sponsor, and they had to do this or they wouldn't be able to stay sober. And it's just such a big deal to me to not be like that anymore. Because I just want people to know that you can get sober however you want to get sober. Like, to me, what I believe is that having help helps a lot, because I like to have people I can talk to. I like to have people that understand they understand what it's like to be struggling with addiction. I like talking to people like that. Well, the way I knew I was an addict was because I was taking drugs even whenever these things were doing. So I kept taking drugs even though I got a charge for possession of a controlled substance. I kept taking drugs even though I lost my job. I kept taking drugs even though I crashed my car into a brick wall and almost killed my husband. I kept taking drugs even though I was pregnant with my child. I kept taking drugs even after giving birth to my son. I kept taking drugs even while I was in rehab, fighting to get my son back. That's how I know I'm a drug addict. Oh, that's awesome, Houston, Texas. Congratulations. And listen, like, if you're into 12 steps and stuff like that, I'm so proud of you. Like, I loved the 12 steps for many, many years. They helped me so much, so much. They helped me at the beginning, and now I've kind of gotten past that, you know? Alcohol withdrawals, cold turkey, no any car, and 45 minutes from the hospital. I don't think you should do that, Matt. I don't think you should do that. Call 911. Call 911, honey. Tell them that you are in alcohol withdrawal and you're afraid you're going to die, because that can actually happen. When I first got sober, I needed to have like a lot of strictness on me. Okay. At the beginning, I was very like unruly. I was like I had a mouth that was just like, I was going to do what I want to do, how I wanted to do it. I didn't think of anybody else but myself. I was very selfish all the time. But over time, after staying sober, that changed. I'm not like that. Like, I put people before me all the time because I want to help people, you know? But when I first got sober, I needed to have somebody that was like directing me. And so I'm glad that I had a sponsor at the beginning, you know, but I will tell you that the longer I stay sober, the more I realize that anybody can be your sponsor. Anybody can, because we're all just drug addicts trying to stay sober one day at a time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I wouldn't push rehab on him. If he doesn't want to get sober, I mean, you really, listen to me, okay? If he doesn't want to stop using drugs, then what you can do is, this is what you can do. You can look into whatever state you live in and see if there's a way to have him like committed to treatment against his own will, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to work, and that could also just create, a resentment, even more resentment between the two of you. So, when I wasn't ready to get sober, my mom and dad just said, okay, we'll see you when you come back. If you come back, if you decide to get sober, we're here for you when you want to get sober. And so, I just continued getting high, doing my thug fizzle. Okay. And I stayed away from my family. I didn't go and bother my parents. I was, in, Little Rock. Hey girl. I was in Little Rock, and my parents were 45 minutes away in Hot Springs. And so they would literally just be able to keep tabs on me by what I posted on social media. And they didn't come chase me down or force me into treatment. You know what I mean? They just told me that when I wanted to get sober, that they were there for me and they would help me. And that's what they did. So I just kind of did my own thing. And also, you guys, like, I feel like a lot of people when they're using, so like, let me explain. So the kid using drugs, like teenager to like early 20s, that's kind of normal, right? Maybe even a little bit into your 20s. But then, like all your friends start going to college, they start getting jobs, they start getting married, they start having kids, and then you look around and you're 30 and you're still getting high and all your friends are married and gone to college. That's what happened to me. Okay, I was looking around and I was like, oh shit, I spent all of my 20s getting fucked up and all my friends are married and have amazing jobs. Hey, Lynn. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? And then I got pregnant and I was like still fucking up, so it wasn't until I had my son, till I had my son for a year that I finally got sober. And I'm so glad that I did. But because I love my son. I love my son more than I love myself. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to be sober for me. I didn't care about myself. I wanted to be sober because I didn't want to be a bad mom to my son. But, like, if somebody's not willing to try and make changes in their life, if they're still happy with the way drugs are making them feel and what they're getting out of that lifestyle, it's going to be really hard to peel them away from that, because they're still getting what they want from it. They're still getting the high, they're still getting the friends and the lifestyle, If it was that easy for us to get people to stop using drugs, it would be totally, addiction wouldn't really even be a thing. But that's because some people don't ever get better, and it sucks. Some people don't ever want to get off drugs, you guys, and that doesn't make them a less than a person because they want to continue to use drugs, right? And then there's some people who couldn't use drugs and they're not like us. They're not like using drugs till they're ruining their lives. Okay, now I can see that. I know people who use drugs every now and then just to let loose, and their lives are perfect. They're like smart. One of them's a pharmacist a pharmacist, and his wife is a teacher, and not a teacher of little kids though. But they will use like on vacation or something, and then they're right back to their normal life. Hey Holly, what's up, girl? Yeah, and what I believe happens is as you get older, I believe every person as we get older, it just depends, we get to a point where we're like, man, I'm tired of doing this, And so for me, I had a child, right? Now, not everybody has children, so it might take longer for them to get to that point where they're like, you know what, this is not conducive anymore. I can't be doing this shit. It's not good for me, But I had a kid, and that's what really kind of pushed me. Now, I had a kid. My husband, our son is our son together, but my husband didn't give birth to my son. So for my husband to get sober and stay sober, it was a lot harder than it was for me to get sober and stay sober, because I don't know how to explain it. When a woman has a baby that comes out of her, it's just different for the guy, I think. They don't have as much of a bond with a child, than we do at the beginning, So it was a little bit more difficult for my husband to get sober. He struggles a lot more. but he wants to be sober, and he knows that when he gets high, he fucks his shit up, you know? And so I think that, you know, also a lot of us just have to get to a point where, okay, when I do drugs, I'm fucking my life up. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes you use drugs and you're not fucking your life up. Okay, Heather, see you later, girl. Sometimes you're using drugs and you're not doing some dumbass shit like I did. Like, the reason why I believe that I had to quit drugs was because I could not use drugs responsibly, because I couldn't just take a Xanax or two. I had to take 7 Xanax bars and then drink alcohol, you know, or I couldn't just do a line of cocaine. I was spelling my name out first and last and middle, you know. That's what I believe makes me a drug addict, is the fact that I cannot, is the fact that I want to take things to the extreme so much. Because I have it in all forms of my life. It happened with me with my weight. I love to eat food. I took it to the extreme. I got fat as fuck when I got sober. You know? Like, that's that no moderation switch in my brain. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? That was my life before I messed up my mouth. Just, you mean like normal to do... Oh, you talk about not having moderation, Holly? Or you mean you did have moderation? I never had moderation in my life. When I was a little girl growing up, I struggled with overeating as a child. But do you want to know why that I struggled with that? Because my father struggled with that. Okay? My father struggled with overeating, and my dad always talked about overeating, and he always talked about weight. It was always a subject of conversation in our home growing up. Okay? And so that shaped me and my sisters to also be obsessed with our weight, right? And so, and then we all like to eat. So growing up as an Italian Mexican, right? My dad and my mom used to make us sit at the table and finish everything on our plates. If we didn't finish everything on our plate, then we would sleep at the table. Okay? That's fucking crazy, dude. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell? If your kid's not hungry to eat the rest of the food, don't make them shove it down their throat. But that's what parents used to do back in the day. For those of you guys whose parents don't do this to you anymore because you're younger, you're really lucky. You're really lucky, because that shit created gluttony out of me and my sisters. Me and my 2 little sisters both struggle with overeating and binge eating, because there was a time in our life when my dad put a deadbolt on the refrigerator because he said we were eating too much. So it was, we weren't eating all our food. Then it turned into we were eating too much. Okay? So we all have these like food fixation phobia things. You know what I mean? With, are we going to get food? Are we going to be able to have food? Are we going to eat food? Do you know what I'm saying? That shit's hella unhealthy for your kids. With Nathaniel, I have to tell him to stop eating sometimes, though, because he would just eat all day long if I let him. But I let him have what he needs. Do you know what I'm saying? Liver and onions is disgusting to a little kid. Like, what little kid wants liver and onions? In fact, I love liver and onions. I ate liver and onions when I was younger. I think it's delicious. But I like the texture of liver. I don't know what it is, but I like taking liver. I like putting some salt on it. I like chicken livers, putting some salt on those bad boys. Yeah, do you see how, like, unhealthy that is for people? Do you really, Holly? That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. Hey, Lynn. Yeah, just, you can message me on here. Or if you have my cell phone number. And listen to me. If you're a parent who, like, made your kids stay at the table all night, please don't take this as I'm telling you it's your fault that your kids became drug addicts. I'm not telling you it's your fault. Okay, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying, like, these things were things that kind of, like, affected me as I was growing up, and I did not know. Okay? I did not know that these things were not good for me. Do you know what I'm saying? And so these were things that I struggled with since I was a little girl and growing up, and so that's why I talk about it. It's not because I'm trying to tell anybody that, you are the reason why your child became addicted, because that's not ever what I'm trying to say. It's nobody's fault. I mean, a lot of stuff it's like the cards that we were dealt, Here's my phone number. A lot of people, we make bad choices, okay? So I think the first bad choice that I made, and it wasn't like my choice to make, it was my mom's choice to make, but I was really, really upset. And I kept on telling her how fat I felt and how ugly I felt and how all my friends were skinny and blah, 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 blah. And so she took me to the doctor, and the doctor gave me the Phentermine, And so when I got the Phentermine, I got skinny. And that was kind of like that kind of like opened my mind to stimulant medications. Okay? But my mom didn't know any better. She didn't know my doctor was giving me a stimulant. I don't think he even told her what the medication was made out of. He didn't even tell me what it was made out of until I took it, and I was like, hell yeah. You know what I mean? And then I started seeking out drugs that had stimulants in them. Well, I was very young when I started on Phentermine, very young. And so I was probably like 15 or 16 when I started it. But then once I got to be old enough and I was hanging out with people who were using substances, that's why I think a lot of people don't understand, like, it's really important to like really see what your kids are doing and who they're hanging around and what they're doing, because a lot of the reasons why I use drugs and the drugs that I used came from the people that I surrounded myself with. I was hanging out with girls whose dads thought it was cool to party with us when we were 17 years old. Okay, I'll never forget it. Nowadays, this girl's dad would have been exposed all over TikTok. I had a best friend, I'm not going to say her name, but her dad and mom had gotten divorced, and we would always go stay at her house, at her dad's house. And her dad, we would have parties, we would have dudes over there, we would be getting FUCK'd, naked, in the room, on the floor, in the middle of the living room, just crazy, all out fucking orgies and shit. And her dad's right there in the middle of it, like, yeehaw! Now when I think back to that life, I'm like, dude, that's disgusting. What the fuck was he doing there? Why was he allowing his daughter to get, and her friends to get, by these dudes who were like 23 or 24 years old, and we were like 17 and 18 years old? Do you know what I'm saying? And so, like, knowing where your kids are at and who they're hanging out with, like, literally going over to their fucking houses, because your kids will lie. They will have the mama call you, and the mama will lie too, and the daddy will lie too. Everybody will lie. I swear to God. In fact, it just hit me just now while I was telling you guys these stories about this girl. And I'm telling you, I was best friends with her from the time I was in like 8th grade till 12th grade. And we threw down at her house. And her dad, I remember one time it was weird because her dad was in the room and somebody was having sex with her. And I was just like, one time somebody said something about it, but then it just got brushed underneath the rug. Do you know what I'm saying? And so these were the kind of things that people I was hanging out with, but my mom and dad didn't know because they thought that their parents were good people. It's like you just have to really keep an eye on where your kids and what they're doing, because like I said, that's where my fucking drug addiction years really were with those friends. Yeah, I've called so many parents saying, hey, this is so-and-so, I'm so-and-so's mom. Do you know what I mean? But now that I'm older and I have my own son, like, it worries me to death because I will never let Nate get past me like that. You know what I mean? But he's a boy. Nathaniel's a boy. Thank you, Jesus, for giving me a boy. The only thing I have to worry about is him getting somebody knocked up. Please, God, thank you. Because I couldn't handle having a girl, dude. I could not handle having a girl. Fuck that noise. Fuck that. Girls are hard, man. Girls are really hard. I thank God every day. I'm like, thank you, Jesus, for giving me my son. And listen, he could be bad as hell, but it'll be better than having a girl be bad as hell. I don't know what it is about girls, but I just don't want to have a girl. If I had a girl that was like me, oh my God, or like my sister Michelle, it would be all hell to pay. I'd already have her ass in juvie. She'd be 8 years old up in juvenile jail. That my parents, you know, I used to think my parents were overprotective too. And they were at some points because I was Pentecostal. So we were raised up super duper Pentecostal. We weren't allowed to cut our hair. We weren't allowed to wear earrings. We weren't allowed to wear makeup. We weren't allowed to wear pants. We can only wear dresses and skirts. Okay. So growing up like that, whenever we did get a chance to rebel and go against that, you fucking best believe we did. You know, me and my sisters, you know, we went wild. But I don't blame my parents for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom was just doing what she thought was right because what God would want her to do, you know? Okay, Lynn, talk to you later, baby. Yeah, my mom, hey, thanks for subscribing, Snickykins. My mom, I believe, was really just trying to do what she thought was the best for us, you know? I don't think that she meant to hurt us, you know? No, I haven't spoken to her on the phone. I have her cell phone number, Chris, but I was kind of like, I don't think I should call right now because I know she's in surgery. I know that she was getting surgery done because we follow each other on Facebook. But when I saw her post on Facebook, dude, I cried. Like, I cried seeing that little boy. It broke my heart, man. It broke my heart. She was so excited to have that little baby. You know, that fucking shit breaks my heart. They must live in a place where it snows and ice is really bad, you know, because, well, you know, we always think that like kids will be like the answer to sobriety and stuff. And I mean, I can't say that it wasn't going to be good for her sobriety, but I'll tell you this, it could go either way, 50-50. Whenever I had my son, you know, I didn't get sober. So, but God has a reason for everything that he does. I truly believe that. And maybe, you know, that God needed that little baby boy up in heaven for something. Or, you know, it could have been, what I believe sometimes is like when people get into accidents like that, like, and God takes their babies, is that something worse could have happened, you know, like, so anyway, it's really sad. I don't know I can't cope with that kind of shit. Like, I literally was crying my eyes out reading her posts on Facebook. Well, Lori, I mean, I don't want you to just stay quiet. What I would do is I would call him and reach out to him and just say, hey, bud, like, I love you and I'm worried about you. I see that you're, you know, getting into using substances and I'm concerned, you know, especially if you know what drugs he's using, if he's using fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, acid, LSD, marijuana, alcohol, you know, just talk to him about it, you know, and instead of like, don't try to scare him because that doesn't work. But like maybe introduce him to people that you know that are already sober who have already went down that life. Like show him some videos of some 40-year-olds like me who are on TikTok talking about how we were on drugs for many years and now look at us, we're 40 years old on TikTok. You know what I mean? And listen, we're 40 years old on TikTok trying to help other people not become 40-year-olds on TikTok. You know what I mean? Just let him know that you care about him and that you're concerned, you know? He'll probably say, Mom, I'm okay. I'm fine. Don't worry about it. You're just tripping. You're overreacting, Mom. And, I said the same thing to my parents. You're overreacting. I'm fine. It's not that big of a deal. It became a huge deal, though. Oh, thank you so much, girl. It became a huge deal because I couldn't stop myself, you know? Like, it wasn't a big deal at the beginning. At the beginning, I was just, like, experimenting, having a good time, yada, 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 yada. But then it became a problem because I could not stop myself. I kept using even when these bad things were not happening. Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. Why are you not answering? Did you guys see a question from somebody that I didn't answer? Yeah, it didn't come. Your question's not coming across the screen, honey. So I don't know what you're talking about. I think we say we can function or we can stop whenever we want. And we say that because maybe we really think that, but then when we go to stop, we find out how unhappy we are without it. Because that's what would happen to me. Like, I was like, oh, I can stop, and I would stop. But then when I would stop, I would feel like shit. You know what I mean? And then that's why I didn't want to stay stopped, because I felt so much better when I was on substances. And I'll tell you guys, it's hard for me in recovery because I feel like shit a lot. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm trying so hard to lose weight and change my diet and get in shape, because I don't want to feel like shit for the rest of my life in recovery, you know, but it can't be all of it. I mean, this can't be all the reasons why I feel like crap can't all be attributed to just being, 25 pounds overweight, 30 pounds overweight. So, you know what I'm saying? But I wish I would have listened to some people that were trying to help me whenever I was younger. And then I was around people who were so much older than me, you guys, that when I think back to this time, I'm like, girl, what were you doing hanging out with them old heads? You had no fucking business. I was hanging out with like 60-year-old biker dudes who were cooking meth. And I was 19 years old. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. And that's what your kids are doing. Don't put it past them. Don't put it past them, okay? And I don't mean to scare you, but just so you know, like, my mom knows this stuff now because I've told her. She watches all my videos, so she knows now. But back then, I thought it was so cool because they accepted me and they wanted me to be around. You know what I'm saying? And that's how people like that are like predators, that's how they operate. They make your kids feel important and worthy. Do you know what I'm saying? What do you think about treating teen addiction with ADHD medication that lasts? I talked about that I talked about that here on my account, and I thought it was a fabulous idea at first, but then Dr. B told me it wouldn't work because methamphetamine is such a strong stimulant that we don't have like a stimulant strong enough up front to really like hold somebody's attention, hold somebody that is addicted to methamphetamine. Do you understand what I'm saying? But I'm not a doctor, I'd say, fuck yeah, give me some Adderall. You know what I mean? I wish, he said that Dr. B actually told me that they used to do that. They used to, it's been tried, it's been practiced where they give people Adderall and then some other kind of stimulant too. And it didn't hold people. Because of the rush that people get from methamphetamine at the beginning, that's what people are really chasing with methamphetamine, is that feeling that they got at first and that like never-ending energy, And I think after you've been on like stimulants like Adderall for a while, you don't really get that feeling anymore. So it's hard to hold people on a maintenance dose of that kind of medication. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm over here just, I told Dr. B the other day, I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor because you're a doctor. No, I wish that would be so cool if I'm not smart enough to be a doctor, obviously. But, being a drug addict, sometimes you think you are because you like experiment with all these different drugs. Yeah, Clarissa, I think it would be more of a short-term thing, yes. But do you understand what I'm saying? Like, because even after taking like Adderall or Vyvanse or for a while, like you get used to it. Your body becomes used to it and you just feel regular taking it. You know what I'm saying? What is Adjuvanze? Is that a, hold on, let me look that up. Is that a Spanish name for a medication? Okay, it is. It is Vyvanse. Okay, lisdexamfetamine. Okay. Well, maybe you have ADHD. Maybe you need to talk to your doctor about that. Do you know what I'm saying? There's some people that are addicts, like meth addicts and stuff, and they have ADHD. And so the reason why they started using substances in the first place was because they were trying to treat their ADHD. They were self-medicating. So that could be what's going on with you, and if it helps you, you should tell your doctor that. For sure. But here's the thing though, okay? You got to find other things in your life that make you happy just besides just taking your medicine, okay? And I know that's hard sometimes because life sucks. Believe me, I understand. There's sometimes I think the only thing I have to live for is my child. And I know you all are probably going, damn, she's so fucking discouraging. But it just is like, when I was younger, man, I wish I could go back to the days when I was younger, you guys. When I was younger, it was just like life was so easy and fun. When you get older, it's hard out here. It's hard out here. Nathaniel, are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay, it's hard out here. I thought you really fainted. What are you chewing on?
A piece of candy that we got from the...
Give me a piece of candy.
I don't think it was there.
Alright.
Okay. Well,
Did you
you
eat
have a
one?
lighter?
I have my ex that has used drugs.
Do you have a lighter, Mom? Yes.
He has demons tormenting him? Baby, you need to take him to the doctor. He might be having some kind of like psychological situation going on.
Demons are real.
They are, yes. But I'm talking about when somebody has used substances, especially like stimulants for a really long time.
Mom,
Sometimes
do
they'll
you
have
a
like,
lighter, though?
I don't think I have one around here, no. Sometimes people will have psychosis and it will go into like, what is it called when they are schizophrenia? I love to do laundry and cleaning. Well, good. Yeah, you should take him to, if he's doing that while he's high, like I used to do the same thing, but some people get stuck like that. And I don't know how to explain it. Like maybe they're not stuck, maybe it just awakens something in them. But for me, I would get really messed up and then I would see things that are not there. But you guys can text me. I put my phone number in the chat, okay? I love you guys. I have to go pee really bad, so I'm going to jump off. I might come back on in just a few minutes. Just let me go pee-pee, okay? All right. I love y'all.